Okay, we will go live in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Ezira Hangout number 7, where we talk about all the latest project updates that have been happening around the Ezira platform. We can go into the main events that have been coming up this week in our discussion forums, in our Telegram, and in our Discord. So without further ado, we'll start with the Ezira introduction. So for everyone who is new to the Ezira project, you might be asking, what is Ezira? Ezira is a distributed platform that uses graphene blockchain software and the delegated proof-of-stake consensus algorithm to record posts and transactions. Files hosted on Ezira are linked into IPFS, which are hosted on supernodes, which are rewarded for hosting Ezira files. Ezira is a social media platform where users can post any text or files to boards, profiles, and pages. Board posts are sorted according to votes and views as weighted by stake in Ezira and in Ezira Power. Feeds are sorted by votes and views, and when they are received from a followed or connected account or a subscribed board. Premium content can be encrypted and can optionally request a micropayment to unlock it by decrypting it and making it available for download. Ezira is a decentralized exchange where trades between any user-issued asset and smart coin can be made with no trading fees when maker orders are used. So that means massive liquidity on a decentralized exchange. Assets can receive revenue streams from specified sources directly. Ezira is a peer-to-peer marketplace where people can list products for sale on a store page and purchase items without any transaction fees and only small fees for mediation. So next up this week we'll go into the project updates. So the project updates for this week are that the new Ezira are being added into the supply. So far about 200,000 Ezira have been issued. And all new Ezira being issued from the Ezira account will be issued at a price of $1 each. The market price, however, is trending between 60 cents and 80 cents. Weekly auction number 3 will be distributed 1 hour after this hangout. The current distribution price is 9.3 cents USD per Ezira in this week's auction. So the weekly auction next week will be reducing to 5,000 Ezira per auction period per week, with the equivalent increase in price to Ezira. So new Ezira is being issued at $1, and the amount of Ezira distributed per weekly auction is accordingly being halved. So this week we have seen the release of the brand new and very simplified, very personalized, and very music-focused video called Build the Next World. So Ezira released a new promotional video this week that brings a more personal view to the important benefits that the platform plans to deliver to users around the world. Up next we have the Telegram channel and new bounties. So the Telegram group for Ezira has grown to over 11,000 members. The Telegram invitation bounty period is now over, and email sign-up bounties of 1 Ezira will be winding down after the final batch is sent after this hangout. So no Ezira for emails has been sent for quite some time, quite a few days. So everyone who has applied by signing up to the email list will be receiving their Ezira from the last 3 or 4 days. All in one big batch after this hangout, and then no more Ezira will be distributed per signing up to the Ezira email list. So what this comes to is the supply of Ezira is going to be tightening. It's going to be much more focused. It's going to be distributed where it needs to be instead of being distributed very, very loosely the Ezira will be tightening up in order to raise the market price to the $1 that is needed for the preliminary ICO to continue. So the Telegram group has gone to over 11,000 members. So thank you to everyone who has been adding new members to the Ezira Telegram. But that Telegram bounty period will now be ending so that we can use the Telegram once more as a discussion platform and to cut down a little bit on some of the spam messages that have been on the Telegram channel. So we are going to make the Telegram channel into a much more higher signal to noise ratio discussion platform where we can get some good debate and good quality discussion back without being inundated by adding people in order to claim Telegram bounties. So 11,000 people is about enough for this phase of the project, and we don't believe that continuing the bounty is going to be adding additional value. The marginal cost of new users in the Telegram is now no longer warranting the Telegram bounty. So community growth effort bounties will be much more focused, and Ezira will opening a pitching form to propose new ideas for reaching out to new users and will reward creative ideas and efforts on an individual basis. Weekly competitions for free Ezira, so the 150 free Ezira for these competitions that we've been having every week, they will be finishing after this week. There will be no more of those competitions, and we will move to a much more structured model of community engagement. So there'll be definitely ways to earn Ezira, but we'll be moving from a system of competitions with a wide broadcast spread to focus on paying individuals for doing specific work for the Ezira project. Okay, so getting on to the next topic for this week. Next up, we have the Ezira discussion topics. So the Ezira share drop will be likely undergoing a potential restructuring. So upon technical reflection, the initial proposal to be share dropping onto 10 blockchains, this is not entirely feasible from an early project standpoint. So this mechanism is going to be revisited, and we will be focusing on a smaller number of chains to distribute a larger number of Ezira onto those chains. So don't worry, the 10% of Ezira will be distributed to the holders of cryptocurrencies through a share drop, but the amount of those currencies and the choice of those currencies is going to be revisited going forward to allow us to, in a sense, fit the UTXO set comfortably into the Genesis block without requiring a massive development effort across many different chains to make all of those signatures compatible with the Ezira blockchain. And because those blockchains are based on different transaction signing technology, we will be primarily focusing around Steem and BitShares because they both use graphene, and there will be a much lower development cost involved in importing balances of Steem and BitShares onto the Ezira blockchain, whereas things like Monero, like Bitcoin Core, like Ethereum, they would have a much higher development expenditure involved in essentially giving away Ezira to the holders of those currencies. So we'll be focusing much more tightly around Steem and BitShares to create a more dense arrangement of early users instead of trying to spread Ezira across a widespread audience like we were originally planning to do. We're going to be focusing a little bit more closely on Steem and BitShares as our initial target audience for Ezira. So we're moving from a general perspective of we're going to be dishing out Ezira to millions of people to a much more focused perspective of we're going to be dishing out Ezira with a share drop to the chains that we want to focus on for early growth, and providing the members of those communities with better opportunities to engage with the Ezira project without necessitating a large distribution of Ezira across other chains that to this stage have not been delivering significant value to the project. So we're going to be focusing on Steem and BitShares, which is where the majority of the value is coming from, to help those communities get a larger piece of Ezira instead of dishing it out to, for example, Litecoin holders or EOS holders who don't really engage with the Ezira project too much. We're going to be focusing on Steem and BitShares going forward. So next up is the Steem comments quality improvement mechanisms. So for anyone who has been using Steem lately, you'll know that some of the comments there typically don't provide too much value to posts, and the reason for that is that the people who write them have an economic incentive to post as many comments as they can onto as many posts made by people up on the trending page as they can, because if they get even 20 cents each, then they can make a little bit of money for basically no work. And Steem provides the economic incentives for very, very low value comments, very, very low value posts, because if they even earn a couple of cents each, then that's worth people's time to just copy and paste. So some of the things that Ezira will be doing to address this issue is taking a leaf out of the book of yours.org. So I commend yours.org for this mechanism whereby the poster of a thread or a post is able to set a price for each comment. So that could be 1 cent, it could be 10 cents, and the price paid to comment is paid to the poster, so that provides more revenue for the person that makes the post, and it provides a small, slight cost disincentive for people to be making spam comments. So it's no longer free to just spam as many comments as your keyboard can keep up with, because those threads will be able to set commenting prices, and then those comments will be able to earn a larger amount of commenting rewards because people will be more willing to upvote comments that have a higher level of quality. So we'll be going for more of a Reddit comment thread level of quality instead of what we're seeing on Steem right now, which is, to be frank, not very constructive for blockchain social media as an image. For outsiders looking in, the comments are just not quite what we're looking for in terms of actually delivering quality value to the viewers of the website. So we're going to be making some significant changes to that. Then coming up in the next few days and weeks, I will be revisiting the Ezira whitepaper to make it manifestly more clear and concise, and to bring a lot more focus to what Ezira is trying to do. Ezira is trying to do a lot of things. Many of those things are entire projects in their own right. Ezira combines a lot of things into one platform, and it does that for a good reason, and that is that people want to use all of these features in one platform without having to make different accounts on 10 different blockchains and hold 10 different currencies. Mainstream users need to be able to use all of these cryptocurrency features from one wallet, one address, one chain, and the interplay between those running through exchanges, that entire process of going through exchanges to move from one blockchain to another is just counterproductive and only serves to line the pockets of centralized exchanges. So what we need to do is bring the applications together onto one chain by allowing that chain to, from the start, have access to flagship applications that are made in a progressive order that is decided by the users. So we're going to be making some distinct changes to the white paper, making it easier to read for everyone, making it easier for everyone to get a concise understanding, and bringing some counter arguments to the things that are going to be coming up to a more visible standpoint in the white paper. Things like the content filtering by tags, things like the spam prevention mechanisms are going to be much, much more clear, so that the initial disbelief and arguments against the project of it'll be filled with low quality content like Steam, are going to be able to be dismissed a lot more rapidly and without necessarily requiring people to read the entire white paper. So a lot of the content filtering mechanisms that are improvements over Steam in order to improve quality of content, they're much later in the white paper. So we're going to be bringing those counter arguments up forward into a much more clear view for anyone reading the white paper. The same thing will be done with the investment thesis to make it much more readable to a mainstream audience and investor audience, and make the entire platform much more accessible to the mainstream users of Facebook and Twitter who may never have experienced cryptocurrency before and are not going to know the first thing about blockchains or on-chain voting or private keys or switching between accounts, between persona accounts and profile accounts. People are used to having one account, so the process of switching between a profile account and a persona account is going to be made very seamless and much more difficult to do incorrectly, because the risks involved in mixing up which account you're posting with or which account you're voting with when all the posts and votes are on-chain and public, it's going to be important that people choose the right account to post with. And if people are just used to making everything with one account, some of the biggest problems with Facebook are that people are concerned about privacy, and because Ezira does a lot of things publicly and on-chain, which is good for many things, but also it is the ultimate in anti-privacy to make everything public. So we're going to be making it much more clear how people are able to maintain their privacy when they use Ezira by using anonymous posts for the content that they want to choose to post anonymously, by allowing people to very, very easily and without the possibility of making a mistake choose which account they want to use to upvote and view content, because those upvote and view transactions are on-chain and immutable and public. So people need to be careful about which account they use to do those things, because that account history is openly viewable to everyone. And there will be options to turn off the view transactions so that they will not be appearing on-chain, they will not be created. And the upvoting mechanism will be refactored to account for different reactions to content instead of just an upvote or a downvote, and requiring people to use a slider that's in many ways too the fact of pressing the upvote button and then having to choose a number is going to provide a barrier to entry for people who are used to just pressing like and just pressing double tap on Instagram to like things. So we're going to make things much more friendly for an Instagram and a Facebook native audience by making voting a much more intuitive experience, and by ensuring that people are able to properly protect their privacy in an on-chain environment. So that's going to be coming out in the project white paper improvements. The project is going through a maturing process. There is institutional interest in funding the project. We're in talks with Melbourne-based ICO companies to bring in significant amounts of funding, and that is going to come with a maturing process of building us out to a proper full-time development team. This project becoming a lot bigger than myself. This project being overseen by a lot more eyes and a lot more ears and a lot more concerned, discerning investors. And they are going to have questions that need to be answered. And we're going to need to answer those questions, especially regarding the designation of Ezira in its current state. The Ezira dividend will be re-established as the Ezira owner reward to ensure that the Ezira asset does not in any jurisdiction become classified as a security. So upon legal counsel, the Ezira dividend will be restructured to require user interaction to claim the Ezira holder reward. And that process will be an ongoing process, and I'm very open to community input as to how exactly that is remade. So this project is a lot bigger than me. Ezira is open to new ideas from the community about how to go forward. I have a few ideas, and I've heard a few good ideas. but this process of really making sure that Ezira is definitely not a security is important for us to be able to operate in Australia and in other jurisdictions globally. So that's going to be coming out in the next iteration of the white paper that is going to take some significant time to write and edit and be overseen by the growing Ezira team. So that'll be coming out soon. So does anyone thus far have any questions or comments on what we've gone into so far about the growing Ezira project and the maturing of the white paper from an idea that was made by myself into a project that is being actively contributed to both on a conceptual and technological level. So we're growing. We need to make some decisions about what we focus on first, because resources need to be pointed towards the most important things first, and the process of discovering what comes first is what we're going to be going through in the next few weeks and months. So does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? And I'm completely open to answering all of those questions if you guys have any of them. So to Steam Power Picks, that is correct. The roadmap timeline is going to be updated. So if this institutional money comes in a bit faster than I had originally anticipated, then that'll be able to speed up the project timeline significantly and bring us into a more competitive position in line with the likes of EOS and Ono, and likes of the smart media tokens on Steam. If they are ever released, that's taking its time. That's been in the pipeline for quite a while. BitShares already does it. I'm not exactly 100% sure what's taking Steam quite so long with smart media tokens. I'm sure there'll be an answer to that, but they are taking a little while to get those out and done, and I'm sure they'll be out soon. I still hold a lot of Steam myself. I have a lot of passion for the Steam project, and it is one of the main reasons why I started making Ezira, is so that we can make some concrete improvements to the model that Steam has pioneered to bring it to a mainstream audience, because the reality is that I like Steam. I love Steam. I've used Steam since the start, and I want nothing more than for the Steam model to become the de facto model of all blockchain-based social media. And if it takes multiple implementations of that model to bring that to a mainstream audience, then so be it. But I want to bring this model forward. In 2 years, there has not been significant improvement to the user interface, even in the face of consistent spam on the front page, in the face of consistent spam in posting comments. Bringing the Steam model to the world is the ideal of Ezira. So first and foremost, blockchain social media to everyone on Earth is the model of Ezira. That's the first and primary focus, and that's where we'll be focusing on first, on the Steam and BitShares community. So the restructuring of the share drop will be focusing on Steam and BitShares, the two communities that have been providing the most value to the Ezira project, and the blockchains that are going to be most simple to include in the Genesis block of Ezira. So the details around that will be coming out soon, and those details are not fixed, but they will be coming out very soon. So does anyone have any other questions about these developments? And they are important developments, and if you guys have any questions, then I'm definitely willing to answer them.
Harrison, are the decisions that are being made now a committee of one, or are you consulting any of the bigger shareholders of Ezira right now?
I am consulting some of the stakeholders of Ezira. The larger stakeholders, particularly the Diamond Ezirans, will also be consulted going forward. Everyone who holds Ezira is a part of this process, and this is going to be a democratic process where all questions and concerns are heard, and inputs are considered from every member of the Ezira community. Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
What's Ezra about?
What is Ezira about? Okay, so at the start of the Ezira Hangout, I talked all about what Ezira is about. Essentially, it's a distributed social media and business platform that allows everyone to earn rewards for posting content and create user-issued assets and trade those in a decentralized exchange and use all of the cryptocurrencies that they hold to purchase and sell objects on a peer-to-peer marketplace. So it's imagine Steam plus BitShares plus eBay. That's a very simple way to put it, and I think it's the most simple way of explaining it. Does anyone have any other questions?
Are there any tokens under it?
What was that one, sir?
Are there any other tokens under it?
Are there any other tokens on Ezira? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ezira is going to be having multiple different cryptocurrencies. So the first one is the Ezira asset, capital EZIRA, and that's the crypto equity of Ezira that represents ownership of the protocol. Then there will be Ezira coin, which will be issued at a rate of 10 million per year. That'll have a linearly increasing supply. There will also be smart coins such as the Ezira dollar, which will be equivalent to $1 worth of Ezira coin collateral, and that will use the market-pegged asset mechanism that has been pioneered by BitShares to great success. There will also be the Ezira stealth asset, which will represent Ezira coin held in a stealth address that will go through a process of stealth transaction features such as confidential transactions and ring CT and stealth address transfers. So those will be implementing the privacy mechanisms of Monero on the Ezira coin asset. Essentially the asset is not held on a persona account or a profile account. It is just held on a key pair instead of being attached to an identity. So those are the main coins that Ezira will be using. The last one that Ezira will use is Ezira Credit. So Ezira Credit is an asset that is talked about not quite as much as the others, but Ezira Credit is a very important asset in Ezira because that is the crypto credit of the Ezira platform. So one crypto credit represents one Ezira dollar worth of revenue on the Ezira platform. So revenue comes from memberships, it comes from post promotions, it comes from trading fees, and a wide variety of other factors. And that incoming revenue is used to buy and burn assets, particularly Ezira coin, to increase their value and scarcity and price. But if the price of Ezira credit is below $1, it will automatically be bought up to provide a price floor of $1. And Ezira credit will pay an interest rate that is determined by the witnesses of the platform, and it will be able to be issued by the Ezira executive account in conjunction with a 51% support vote of the Ezira network voting power. And that'll be able to be used for project funding, for the funding of the development team, the funding of the marketing, funding of advocacy work, and funding of the centralized infrastructure that is necessary to host the Ezira.io website and the web application. So that'll be used as a mechanism of distributing the Ezira revenue to specific sources with the voting authority of the network and a combination of the executive account as a multi-signature of all of the elected executives. So it's essentially a mechanism for Ezira to borrow money against future revenue with specific and blockchain enforced limits on the amount of money that can be issued as credit, and if the price falls below 80 cents on the dollar, that can no longer be issued. So there are mechanisms to prevent that from being abused. So another question from Marshall Life is, will there be any witnesses on Ezira? The answer is yes, there will be. There will be 50 witnesses that produce a block every round, and there will be an unlimited number of other witnesses who are used as backup witnesses that are randomly selected based on the amount of voting power that they have obtained from the users. And the second question from Marshall Life is Ezira proof of work or delegated proof of stake? The answer is both. So the Ezira blockchain will be using the mechanism pioneered by Steam in its early stages by combining one proof of work block every 12 blocks to provide a proof of work issuance of Ezira coin alongside with a delegated proof of stake issuance of Ezira coin to provide proof of work immutability against chain rewrites, to provide energy expenditure chain security, and to bring all of the associated security mechanisms of proof of work onto the Ezira chain while combining that with the fast block times of delegated proof of stake and the decentralized block production of delegated proof of stake. So we'll be combining the best of both block producing mechanisms to produce the Ezira blockchain with one block every 3 seconds. So we have Gentle Manoi who says, what are the differences of Ezira and whale shares? So to the best of my knowledge, whale shares is a project that aims to distribute 70% of its asset onto the BitShares blockchain, and that'll be able to effectively run a new version of the Steam chain, but with a different asset distribution and a smaller but more focused and tight-knit community that focuses as a, in the words of Fuzzy, a mutual aid society for the benefit of BitShares. So Whale Shares is intended to be used to power the BitShares talk forums in particular, and it's essentially a mutual aid society for the benefit of BitShares users. So someone else
Hey,
is...
Harrison.
Yes.
Is there any way
Okay, your microphone is not quite working at the moment.
Ezra?
Can you type the question? Your microphone completely echoed out there, and the viewers on the live stream didn't quite hear that one. Does anyone have any other questions? Will there be Ezira power? Yes, there will be. So Ezira coin will be able to be vested into Ezira power, and that will have a power down time of 10 weeks instead of Steam's 13 weeks. In addition to that, there will be changes to the Ezira asset to ensure that the voting power held by the Ezira asset is not subject to rapid transfer and voting power abuse. There will be changes made in the Ezira whitepaper to essentially make Ezira power into the asset which has an upfront allocation of voting power and then gets powered down over time. And Ezira will have a voting power that once you hold it increases over time over 10 weeks up to its maximum of 10 weeks, but it is always liquid. So there'll be two ways of getting voting power. One of them puts the liquidity up front, where you can get some voting power straight away without requiring it to be locked in. And the other one will get you voting power that does have a liquidity lock-in, but gets the entire 100% straight away. So there'll be one mechanism of voting power that has a liquidity lockup, and the other one that has a 10-week ramp-up, but no liquidity lockup. That's going to be coming out in the next edition of the Ezira whitepaper. Does anyone have any other questions? So we have someone that says, is there any way I can earn Ezira? Yes, there are. So if you go onto the Ezira page where it says bounties, if you go to ezira.io, then there is a section that says bounties. If you look on there, there are many ways to earn Ezira. Those are going to be changing over the next couple of days because we are slowing down the phase of distributing Ezira for Telegram bounties and competitions and things like that that were valuable in building the early community. But now that the Ezira community has been relatively built up into a number that is reasonable, those free Ezira for doing things like inviting people to Telegram is going to be wound down, and discontinued. So that means the supply of Ezira will be tightening up in order to allow the market price to
Hello,
drift to
Harrison.
$1 where it's needed. Hello, Semest, how are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, I want to ask about what is happening on Steemit. I mean, Steemit, about people misusing their power than voting people. What is Ezira planning to do on achieving that? Can you hear me?
Okay, so those are some very important concerns about what happens when downvoting power is abused, and that is a serious concern. So the answer is Ezira will be distributing the asset over a much, much wider audience so that there will be a mitigated impact of those large holders. So the downvoting power in specific users' hands will be lower because they will own less of the supply proportionally. What Ezira will be doing is making the downvote button more prominent so that people can downvote content that is low quality much more easily without it being dressed up as a flag. It'll be a downvote button so people will upvote quality content and downvote low quality content. So something that makes Reddit a much better mechanism for sorting content is that there is the downvote button, and early content, content that is low quality is often downvoted in the early stages. So there is a bit of a filter between the front page of a subreddit and allowing low quality content there, because downvotes early basically make it very difficult for that to be seen, and that's in the case of low quality content. So effectively, downvotes will be made much more common, but they won't be subject to so much abuse because they will be more frequent, and because they're balanced out, the impact of downvotes will be mitigated on an individual level. So it'll be less a matter of whether you get downvoted by one specific whale and the amount of downvotes that a post gets. So if it gets too many downvotes from being low quality content, then it will get a lower reward and less visibility. But larger content that gets pushed to the front page that is lower quality will be downvoted more frequently. So the answer to that question is there will be a lower amount of voting power held in individual hands, and it will be more of a collective effort. It'll take a group of downvotes to lower the content rewards of a post significantly, because we'll be making downvotes a much more used feature, which will distribute the content rewards across posts more evenly by bringing into line some of the higher value posts by downvoting them more frequently, effectively.
Yeah, thank you, Harrison. Thank you so much.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? So we have Mariana for, I think it's Mariana for VE or something like that. She says, in Steam, there is a lot of plagiarism of content and disrespect of copyright in images. What will Ezira's position be on this? Okay, so this is a very, very good question. So on Ezira, plagiarism of content will be dealt with by downvoting, first and foremost. If a content piece is plagiarized, the users will be able to downvote that content and increase the rewards for all of the other content relative to it. So the first and foremost method of mitigating plagiarism is downvoting. And for disrespect of copyright in images, that will be the same process. So it will use downvotes, and it will make it much more easy and acceptable for people to downvote low quality content and content that does not correctly attribute its sources. So using a copyrighted image needs to attribute the source of the image, and if the post attributes the source, then that will be fine on Ezira. But when the source is not attributed, or when it is passed off as the user's own post, then there will be an incentive for people to comment the first post that used that image, and that comment will likely be upvoted by the viewers of the post who see it. So there will be an incentive for people to post the more recent, or the original version of the image, or the source, and the main post can then be downvoted accordingly. So because content is going to be hosted on IPFS in a decentralized way, there will be no way to take down the images, and there'll be no way to take down the content, and that's by design, but it will be up to the community to downvote content that does not meet the community's standards for sourcing the places that it came from attributing its sources. So next question we have is, what's the supply? So the supply of Ezira will be 10 million. Exactly 10 million Ezira, and no more will be issued. Hello, is it possible to use the Ezira platform in the area of video games? That is a fantastic question that we'll be getting into later in the featured application, which is decentralized software production, and that can be extended to the area of games, and we can talk a little bit more about that then. Okay, so we've answered quite a few questions today. So does anyone have any other questions before we move on to the next section, which is the crowdfunding guide? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to the crowdfunding guide, and we'll get through this a little bit quicker than we have been doing in the past few weeks. So the first thing you'll notice about Ezira.io this week is that we have a brand new front page that has a straightforward button to learn more, and it has the social media icons right here along the bottom so people can see them very easily. So you simply go to Ezira.io, press learn more, and then you are greeted with the new video that we'll be having a look at and commenting on. So for those of you who haven't seen it, the Ezira Build the Next World video is the new centerpiece of Ezira.io, and it brings the story of Ezira to life in a very musical and human way. So we'll go through and watch that video there. That's our brand new video, just released this week, and that's Ezira Build the Next World.
We lost you, Harrison. We lost you. We can't hear you at all.
No, I was putting the video on the stream for everyone. Well, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
All good.
Okay.
So, for the crowdfunding guide this week, So to contribute to the Ezira crowdfunding campaign, all you need to go is go to ezira.io/crowdfunding, then create a BitShares account. So if you haven't created a BitShares account before, there's a link to do just that on ezira.io. So Ezira operates on the BitShares blockchain, and all you do is press the buy Ezira with BitUSD button, and you'll be taken straight to the BitShares decentralized exchange, where you can make a new account. And if you already have one, all you'll need to do is fund it with some BitShares from an exchange that you purchase with your cryptocurrency. And then all you need to do is sell whatever cryptocurrency you bring onto the BitShares DEX for BitShares, and then go and buy some BitUSD with that, and go to the trading pair for Ezira against BitUSD, and then type in the current price of the Ezira asset, which at this time of recording is about 64 cents. So new Ezira is issued at this price here of $1. Those are the 800,000 Ezira to be issued for new contributors. And this Ezira is from the holders of Ezira who are choosing to sell their Ezira on the DEX at the moment. So you can take advantage of these people selling well below the new price of Ezira by purchasing their discounted Ezira at starting at 64 cents all the way up to $1. So the new price of Ezira is $1, and the market will take time to adjust to that price, but there is discounted Ezira for everyone who makes a purchase before all of that is sold. So simply log in to your wallet and place a buy order to buy Ezira for BitUSD. And there it goes. So all you need to do is go to the BitShares decentralized exchange. If you don't have a BitShares account, you can make one with the link on the Ezira website. And if you don't have any BitShares, all you need to do is go to the dashboard here, and from there you can check out the deposit option for a wide variety of different assets, particularly Bitcoin. Using the Open Ledger Gateway, you can simply press deposit to your account, and using the Open Ledger Gateway or any of the other gateways like CryptoBridge or GDEX or EasyDex, or that's pretty much all of them that I can remember. So just give that a few seconds to load. It'll get you an address. We'll just give that a refresh. Looks like Open Ledger is being a bit slow, so if we try CryptoBridge, there we go. So you can use the CryptoBridge Bitcoin gateway if you have Bitcoin. Then you can send it to the address that is displayed, and then you can sell whatever currency you choose. It might be Ethereum, or it could be Steam. Simply sell that currency on the BitShares DEX for BitUSD, and then go to the Ezira USD trading pair and purchase it from there. So there are 110 days in the ICO, preliminary ICO rather, remaining. And to this point, approximately 820,000 of those Ezira are remaining, which means the other 180,000 or so have been sold and distributed for bounties and things like that. So your contribution gets you an allocation of Ezira in the initial coin offering reward tiers. So if you have more than 10 Ezira as a silver Ezira, and you get a founder account medallion for the life of your Ezira account. You get 6 months of silver membership, and you get early access to the Ezira.io exclusive alpha. As a gold Eziran, you get all of that, except it's upgraded to gold founder medallion, gold membership. You also get a share drop bonus of 25% of all of the accounts that you nominate. And you also get a persona account created with a name of your choice in the Genesis block. So you won't have to create an account. There will already be one waiting for you in the Genesis block with a name of your choice. So you can get an early name that might be very valuable later down the line. With 1000 Ezira, you can be a Platinum Eziran, and you get a Platinum Founder Medallion, Platinum membership for 6 months, a share drop bonus of 50% on all of your existing cryptocurrencies that receive a share drop. Those currencies will be changing, but if you hold BitShares and Steam, you will absolutely be receiving a share drop. Those two are the critical cryptocurrencies at this stage. Other currencies are under consideration for how to implement them technically, but BitShares and Steam will absolutely be included. As a Platinum Eziran, you get up to 5 initial persona accounts, so they can be names that you reserve at the start of the network, and you can also create a board in the Genesis block. Okay, so I'd like to ask everyone to please put their microphones on push to talk while the Hangout is live. Thank you. Okay, so as a Platinum Eziran, you're able to create a board in the Genesis block. So that means that you get first pick of all of the new board names. So if you're a community, whether it be on Reddit or on Steam, if you're the owner of a community, the founder of a community, or if you have a completely new idea about a digital community that would work on Ezira, you can create a board of your choice, and that'll be created for you in the Genesis block. So that'll be included in the very first block of the network. And for our select Diamond Ezirans with over 10,000 Ezira, you get a Diamond Founder Account Medallion, 6 months of Diamond membership, a doubling of your share drop allocation. So for example, if you have 100,000 BitShares and you choose to purchase a Diamond Eziran membership, then the equivalent share drop that you get, maybe it's 4 or 5 Ezira, that would be doubled relative to the supply of the asset. So every Diamond Eziran will have their share drop allocation doubled relative to everybody else. You get up to 10 initial persona accounts, up to 5 initial boards. So if you want to create a network of boards for your particular community, then a Diamond Eziran membership is definitely for you. You can create a business account in the Genesis block. This is a very, very underrated feature of being a Diamond Eziran. In addition to the many others, including access to the Ezira team Discord channel with a Diamond Eziran position. You get to create your business account in the Genesis block. So if you want to be part of Ezira from the very beginning, then you can create your business account in the Genesis block. And you also get a post in the Genesis block. So your post will be alongside my first post in the Genesis block, and they will be part of the initial block that is created to begin the Ezira blockchain. So for these details here, there will be 10 million Ezira issued, and that will be based on an allocation that is mentioned in the Ezira whitepaper. So next up, we'll go into the video competition this week. So for this week, what we'll do is go into the competitions section of the Discord. And we'll have a look through some of these entries. So I'm seeing some familiar faces here. So we've had quite a few entries. And for those of you who weren't aware, Ezira was running a competition where anyone could earn up to 150 Ezira for posting a link to the new Ezira video. And those were across Twitter, Facebook, and Steam. So we'll start looking through some of those entries there. So first up we have a completely reasonable entry by Shabashnu, and he has 31 retweets and 37 likes. So we'll do Twitter first. And up next is Gurpreet. And Gurpreet has 50 retweets and 66 likes, so she is in the lead. Then we have a Steam It post. And that's a Facebook one, so we'll get to that in a moment. Then we have a new one here. That has 1 like and 1 retweet. And we have Saurav Ganguly, multiple time winner of the Our Ezira competitions, with his entry on Steam It. Let's see if Saurav Ganguly has come through again. And he's got a great looking post here with his meme from last week too, so that's just great. And he's had 3 upvotes for about 1 cent or so. So we'll hop over to the Ezira tag for trending. Then we have a link with 4 likes and retweets from Historia Fitness. Thank you, Historia Fitness. And a Facebook entry. And lo and behold, we've had Steam It 504 gateway timeout. So their servers are under some immense load, as it appears. So we'll just do the Twitter one first. So we have Gurpreet in the lead at the moment. And we have Collins Bounty with 6 retweets and 4 likes. And Samist with 2 likes. Thank you, Samist. And 3 retweets, 7 likes. We've got a whole host of entries here from Mariana. And that's 2 retweets and 5 likes there. And La Loretoya with with 2 retweets and 14 likes. That's a very good one there. And we have Gaius 1 with 52 retweets and 61 likes. I think that almost puts him in the lead. So that's Gaius in second place with Gurpreet still in the lead. And I think that's all of the Twitter entries. So the winner of the Twitter competition for this week is Gurpreet Kaur. So if Gurpreet's here in the Hangout, then she wins an additional 50 Ezira. Are you here, Gurpreet? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so next up we have... Oh, there you are, Gurpreet. Fantastic. That's an extra 50 Ezira to Gurpreet. Congratulations. Okay, so up next we'll go on to the Facebook posts. So we have History of Fitness with... Doesn't look like any likes or shares there, unfortunately. Okay, so next up we have Tekka D with doesn't look like any likes on that one either. Let's try the other one from History of Fitness. Not quite. And Mariana. With a Spanish post that has 22 likes. There we go. Thought there'd be one. There we go. So Arivalo Mariana is in first place. In the lead for the Facebook segment of this week's competition. And Natalia is on 5 likes. So second place for Facebook this week. And Shabashnu is on 14 likes. So that's new second place with 14. And Saurav Ganguly is not on public, so I can't see it, unfortunately. And that one's also not on public. Okay, so your Facebook posts do need to be on public in order for those posts to be viewed and counted for the competition. Otherwise, I can't see how many likes and retweets that they have. So, for the Facebook winner this week, we have Arivalo Mariana with 22 likes and 16 shares. That is fantastic. So is Mariana here? There you are, Mariana. Congratulations, you've just won 200 Ezira. Okay, so last segment of this week's competition is the Steemit posts. Okay, so we can tell those pretty easily by going to the Ezira tag, which is one of the requirements for the competition. And here on the trending Ezira tag, you can see all of the posts that have been made to this tag. And we've got Mariana's post on $11.53. We've got Vita Fitness on $9.91. And we've got Saurav and CoinCash. So it looks like for the Steemit part of the competition for this week, we have again Mariana winning the other part of the competition. And this one appears to be in Spanish, so I won't be able to read too much of this, but yep, the video is there. And that one is the other winner this week. Very good. So that's 400 Ezira to Mariana. Congratulations. And thank you, big thank you and shout out to everyone who entered the Ezira competition this week. We had a massive week with this new video that really brings the Ezira story to life in a more personal way. Really brings a sense of I would say wonder to the message that that this project is trying to bring to the world, and that's social media owned by the people of the world. Instead of owned by a single company, Ezira will be owned by everyone that takes part, and the profits will be shared with everyone who takes part and contributes value. So the first line is social media owned by you, and that's going to be a focal point of the Ezira messaging and branding going forward. That's going to be how we present ourselves to the world, and it's going to be how we bring millions of new users into cryptocurrency and into blockchain social media by allowing them to have a real sense of ownership over their protocol. So it's no longer going to be one business controls the personal information of 2 billion people. It's going to be a protocol that everyone is able to own and take part of, that people use for communicating with the world and staying in touch with their family and friends and reading the best content and seeing the best content as a platform and as a protocol instead of as a business where the goal is to extract value. Instead, with Ezira, the goal is to create value for everyone in the ecosystem. So next, after this video competition here, we'll go on to the next topic, and that's the featured application for this week, the decentralized software production. So, decentralized software production in terms of app development. Ezira could be used to crowdsource the development of applications that use the Ezira blockchain and supernode infrastructure to deliver services. Project proposals could be made to a board, and user voting could sort through the best projects based on the ownership of an app development-backed asset. So each board would be able to have an asset, and that asset would be owned by the community of that board, and using that asset, its holders would be able to vote for the best potential app projects, and those assets could receive funding by creating a user-issued asset to finance their production, to sell onto the DEX for returning profits to supporters. These assets would distribute returns from application sale profits or revenue derived from the application to its holders in regular intervals. App hosting. Ezira applications can be hosted on IPFS and served to users using Supernode file storage. So for end users, storing files on Supernodes would be free, and the amount of storage that you have access to is limited by the amount of Ezira power that your account has locked in. So access to file storage would be free for end users, and such applications would be accessible from an open source app store and could be unlocked and decrypted as premium content, delivering 99% of the sale revenue to the application developers, instead of other app stores that you guys might be familiar with taking a 30% cut and without excessive application guidelines. So a lot of other application stores that you might be familiar with, they actually take upwards of 30% of the sales of all apps. They also take, in many instances, a 30% cut on in-app purchases. So what Ezira will be doing is enabling anyone to upload an application to an open source app store, and that app store will link to files in IPFS where people can purchase those applications if they are premium by paying Ezira coin or other network cryptocurrencies. And that value will be delivered to the application developers for distribution to their supporters financially, in terms of the owners of the application asset. And I'm sure that developers will be able to find interesting ways of building in functionality for their application asset into the programs that they make themselves by using the Ezira blockchain and being able to plug into an Ezira account for economic functions, such as using the app to browse any of the content on Ezira, to save content to the Ezira Supernode network by accessing broad-based Supernode processing services, and accessing this app store that has no formalized application listing guidelines. Instead, it'll be sorted by user votes. So the most highly voted applications will be listed highest in the App Store, instead of having very strict requirements for listing apps that comply with a laundry list of App Store guidelines and various closed garden attitude, in many ways draconian regulations for applications. App developers will be able to list their products on app stores or on the Ezira App Store as an IPFS file for anyone to download onto compatible mobile and desktop and tablet devices. So that's one of the things that we'll be working to build on Ezira from an early stage, and we'll be able to use this mechanism to finance the development of apps that do the majority of their functionality on the Ezira blockchain, use an Ezira business account, and in some cases even share drop some of their application asset onto the Ezira asset. So there'll be funding available through crowdfunding for those applications, instead of relying on things like donations or post beneficiaries like they do on Steam at the moment. Ezira applications will be able to use a much broader sense of revenue stream intake to actually deliver value to their investors and deliver a good product to their users as well. And now we'll move on to the last part of today, and that's the general discussion. So does anyone have any questions about anything that we've discussed today, or about the featured application, the video competition? And congratulations and thank you to everyone who has entered the Ezira video competition this week. We've raised the Ezira video to a massive number of views, for the size of the project at least, in only a few days. And I thank everyone for helping to distribute the video, helping to get it out to the world, and helping everyone to see what we're trying to build here and where we're trying to go with the project. So does anyone have any questions? Okay, so we have Danville, and he says, I have an app, it's around video games. So any game developer will be able to use the Ezira App Store, or effectively, it'll be an Ezira board that will be displayed as an app store, but it'll basically have the highest voted and most purchased applications that are listed on that Ezira board. So we have Jotmax with a very good question, and he says, how do you plan to market Ezira to end users who are completely new to crypto? That is a very important question, Jotmax. So how Ezira plans to market to completely new users is by allowing Ezira to be a fundamentally better user experience than the social media platforms that they've been using. So for everyone who uses social media now, they, for the largest part, don't earn any money for the content that they provide, and that is, in many ways, a significant flaw in the modern world today. That people's content is effectively extracted, people's attention span is extracted for the profit of a private corporation. So we'll be distributing a large portion of the revenue from the inflowing sources of revenue to the Ezira protocol. We'll be distributing it to the holders of the Ezira asset, in addition to the community that make the posts. So there will be a much better distribution of the profits from the protocol. And Ezira users won't need to understand that they're using a blockchain. It'll just be money on a screen like they've been used to with internet banking and things like that. If people understand that they can purchase products with Ezira dollars from the Ezira store, just like on eBay, they won't need to worry about the fact that it's cryptocurrency. They just will be able to use it. It'll just work. That's what it needs to do. It just needs to work. Okay. So to end users, what are you referring to exactly by that Sadius? While you're typing, to get back to Jobmax's question, to end users who are completely new to cryptocurrency, Ezira will be marketed as a platform where people are free to post whatever content that they personally like, and free to filter the content of other users that they don't particularly like. So we put users in many ways, in complete control of their user interface experience, so that they have a much greater degree of customizability. They also have a much greater ownership over their data because it will be encrypted and sharded and stored on a supernode network that is not able to be read by any of those supernodes without the key, the private encryption key of that account, and that'll be held client-side. So people won't need to worry about their data being used for massive levels of machine learning based advertising placement because Ezira's ads will use public on-chain data for targeting, and they will not be using the private data that users do not accept for using for targeting ads. So Ezira will only be using public on-chain data to target ads, and users will importantly be able to disable ads with a silver membership. So they will not be displaying if the user account has a silver membership. There will be premium options, so Ezira will be the premium social media network where anyone can can effectively post anything, trade anything, and build anything. So does anyone have any other questions? So we have Andreas, and he says, which will be the strong currency of Ezira? So I'm not sure what you mean by strong currency, but there will be two main currencies. One for the crypto equity with a fixed supply, and one for the medium of exchange with a continually increasing supply. So Samer says, as a token holder, is there a benefit apart from increment on the token value? I'm talking about before the evolution of the blogging platform. So for the holders of Ezira, they will be able to hold on to their Ezira on BitShares until the platform is launched, and then they will receive an allocation in the Genesis block of Ezira. So before the evolution of the blogging platform, there will not be a benefit to the BitShares user issued asset that is going to be used for distributing Ezira onto the mainnet blockchain. So Danvell says, Ezira will let people stream videos, and they can receive upvotes directly and earn profits, the way users of YouTube and Twitch can move to this platform. That's correct. So people will be able to stream, live stream videos to an Ezira supernode using the same sort of streaming keys that you're used to with streaming now. And that will be hosted on a supernode, and that supernode will be able to distribute the content to the network, and people will be able to receive upvotes on that content and earn content rewards accordingly. And then there will be a public video uploaded by the supernode after it is received using the account keys and a transaction signed by the posting account. So the technical details of doing that are still to be determined, but that is one of the planned features of the Ezira blockchain platform. What will be the amplitude of Ezira compared to other platforms? So I don't think are you sure you're using the word amplitude there correctly? So I'm not sure what you mean by amplitude. That's not what amplitude means. Then we have JotMax who says escrow question mark. So what do you mean by escrow? What are you referring to with escrow there? There would be escrow used for the peer-to-peer marketplace for product sales. That's the main avenue of escrow that's going to be used. So does anyone have any further questions? Okay, Danvell says, how long will posts be able to earn profit? So posts will be able to earn content rewards from blockchain issuance for 30 days. So instead of Steam having a single payout period after 7 days, there will be a 30-day period with daily content rewards paid. So content will earn content rewards daily over 30 days instead of one large payout at the end of 7 days. So that'll be a smaller but continual inflow of content rewards that will distribute content rewards a bit more fairly and ensure that there is a longer window of time for content to be earning rewards when it is of a more valuable nature. So some content is over a longer time period than 7 days. So it's important that content earn rewards over a longer period of time instead of just over 7 days. So it gives it a wider window of time to be discovered. And we have PowerPix who says, so votes would be locked daily, any vote decay. So what exactly are you referring to with votes being locked, PowerPix? So once a vote is made, it can be undone, so there's no vote locking. And what it does to count the content rewards. Are you trying to? I'll let you go ahead, PowerPix. And PowerPix says, if you pay out already on the vote, can it be removed and taken back? So the answer to that is once a vote has been put onto a post, then that vote has been used to receive rewards. After the 1 day period, that vote can no longer be taken back to prevent voting manipulation. So once a vote has been counted on a post for a daily period of content rewards, that vote cannot be taken off again. So there's a 24-hour window where it is able to be removed, but after it has been calculated, it can't be taken back. Yep, I see what you mean now. So with premium content, the time of 30 days, and can the price be changed? So premium content can earn the same content rewards as any other post using the same upvote and view mechanisms, and the price of that content is definitely changeable. So that can be edited at any time by publishing an update to the transaction that posted the content initially. Those that mean the payment will be received every day. Not sure what you mean by that there. So the price of premium content can be changed at any time after it's been posted by publishing and updating transaction. So to answer the question I think you're asking, the payment won't be every month, it'll be each day for a month. So over time, the amount of content rewards that each post earns will decay over 30 days to allow newer content to earn more rewards, but older content to still earn a little bit of rewards out to the end of 30 days. So it'll be a longer time period for content to earn rewards, but the earlier days are more highly weighted, and the amount of content rewards that a post earns each day over the 30 days decays linearly from 100% to 0% over 30 days. So it'll be higher at the start and then lower as it goes down to the 27, 28, 29, 30 days. So it'll be decaying by roughly 3% proportionally to the other posts per day. So that algorithm is in the Ezira technical manual, and we can definitely go over that in the Hangout after party if you guys would like. Okay, so it's getting to about 12:30 my time, so I think we might wrap up the questions there and go into the after party. And thank you to everyone for tuning in to this week's Ezira Hangout. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the Ezira Project video competition. Thank you to everyone who has helped raise awareness of the Ezira Project. And thank you to the new members of the team who have been doing an absolutely fantastic job in refining the concept, in bringing new funding and new interest to the project. And thank you to everyone here in the Hangout for the very good questions that you've been asking this week. And yeah, that pretty much sorts out the Ezira Hangout for this week. Thank you all for watching, and good night. And together, at Ezira, we will build the next world. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.